What if I told you that some of the world's most beloved foods like chocolate, tomatoes, and even peanuts were once feared, forbidden, or completely unknown across the globe? Before globalization, it was the ships of conquest that spread flavors, not the internet, and behind every ingredient, there's a wild, untold story waiting to be devoured. Asterisk, long before the era of global trade and industrialized food, it was the humble caravels that first carried the flavors of the Americas across the oceans. From corn to chocolate, chili peppers to potatoes, native foods from the New World reshaped diets across every continent. These ingredients were more than just exotic novelties. They sparked agricultural revolutions and transformed culinary traditions worldwide. In this video, you'll discover 10 native foods that were born in the Americas and went on to conquer kitchens across the globe, along with one surprising extra that's not a food at all, yet had an enormous impact on humanity's story: corn domesticated. In Mesoamerica, over 9,000 years ago, by cultures like the Maya and Aztecs, was revered as a sacred gift from the gods. It was central to spiritual rituals and daily meals alike, forming the basis of dishes such as tortillas, tamales, and fermented beverages like chicha. With high nutritional value and incredible versatility, corn became the cornerstone of indigenous cuisine throughout the Americas. When European explorers arrived, they were captivated by its yield and resilience. Transported to Europe, corn found a home in Mediterranean diets, contributing to the creation of iconic dishes like Italy's polenta and Portugal's broa. In Africa, it quickly replaced native grains and became a vital part of local diets. In Brazil, it blended with indigenous and colonial cooking, giving rise to traditional favorites like angu. Today, corn is one of the world's most cultivated crops, found in oil, flour, cereals, livestock feed, and even biofuel. Yet, perhaps its most cherished role is in Brazil's festas juninas, where it becomes pamonha, huro, canjica, and other comfort foods that celebrate abundance and heritage. Beans, another foundational food, were cultivated in the Americas long before colonization. Especially prominent in the Andes, Mesoamerica, and Brazil, they were part of the sacred Three Sisters trio: corn, beans, and squash. Civilizations like the Aztecs saw beans as a sacred, life-giving crop. In Brazil, Tupi peoples grew and cooked them into hearty broths that sustained entire villages. With colonization, beans journeyed across the Atlantic to Europe, Africa, and Asia. Their high protein content, adaptability, and easy cultivation made them a global staple. In Africa, beans enriched stews and inspired dishes like acarage. In Europe, they were added to soups and casseroles, and in Asia, they adapted to spicy curries and vegetarian cuisine. In Brazil, the bean became the inseparable partner of rice, forming the country's most iconic meal. From feijoada and chili to minestrone and rajma, beans adapted to every continent. A humble legume, yes, but one that nourishes, unites, and reflects cultural identity. Potatoes originated in the high-altitude regions of the Andes, particularly in modern-day southern Peru and northern Bolivia. Cultivated for over 7,000 years, they were vital to Andean life. The Inca developed advanced farming techniques and even preservation methods like chunoa, freeze-dried form of potato that could feed armies and resist spoilage for years. That initially met with suspicion in Europe. Potatoes were seen as strange or even dangerous because they grew underground. But by the 16th century, during food shortages and wartime, their value became undeniable. Potatoes became a lifeline in many parts of the world. They spawned iconic recipes like French mashed potatoes, Belgian fries, Indian aloo curry, Russian stews, and Brazilian staples of rice, beans, and boiled potatoes. In the modern era, potatoes also took industrial form: chips, powders, frozen products. They've even gone to space with NASA. From sacred root to global food security, The potato's journey is a remarkable one. Cassava or manioc is one of the oldest and toughest crops domesticated in the Americas, originating in the Amazon basin. Indigenous peoples of South America cultivated it well before European arrival. Rich in carbohydrates and resistant to poor soil, cassava was a lifeline. Indigenous cultures mastered the detoxification of bitter cassava through age-old techniques, transforming it into flour, baju, tucupi, and fermented drinks. Colonial Portuguese settlers saw its value and carried it across the Atlantic to Africa, where it thrived in both soil and culture. It became a dietary anchor with dishes like fufu and gari. In Asia, cassava found a home in Indian and Southeast Asian sweets and tapioca-based treats. In Brazil, it is omnipresent from daily staples like farofa and tapioca to festive treats, like cassava cake and pão de queijo, also known as macaxeira or apim. This gluten-free starch is an enduring gift from the indigenous world to global cuisine. Avocados, native to tropical Mesoamerica, were cherished by ancient civilizations, like the Maya and Aztecs for their creamy texture and rich nutrients. Known as aguacatal in Nahuatl, the fruit was linked symbolically to fertility and used in herb-infused savory preparations. The Spanish conquistadors were immediately intrigued by this buttery fruit. Avocados were gradually introduced to European colonies, eventually reaching tropical regions of Africa and Asia. Initially slow to catch on in Europe, their global popularity exploded in the 20th century. In Mexico, they remain the heart of guacamole. In Brazil, they became a dessert staple, blended with milk, sugar, or lemon. From mousse and ice cream to toast and smoothies, the avocado's versatility made it a modern superfood. Today, it's not just a nutritious fruit, it's a cultural icon. Peanuts trace their roots back to South America, particularly in areas that today include Brazil, Bolivia, and Peru. These legumes were cultivated over 7,000 years ago by indigenous communities, not only as a food source but also for medicinal and ceremonial purposes. Ancient civilizations valued peanuts highly. They were consumed raw, roasted, or ground into pastes mixed with chili and cacao, a distant ancestor of what we now call peanut butter. During the colonial period, Portuguese and Spanish explorers transported peanuts to Africa and Asia, where they thrived in tropical climates. In West Africa, they became a dietary staple and helped shape local cuisines, contributing to rich stews and thick sauces. Interestingly, peanuts made their way back to the Americas centuries later, now enriched by African culinary techniques. Introduced through enslaved populations. In Brazil, peanuts became a core ingredient in traditional sweets such as pacoca, pão de maloc, quesazinho, and the beloved canjica served during Festa Junina celebrations. In the United States, peanuts rose to iconic status in the form of peanut butter, a staple found in nearly every household. Today, peanuts are a cornerstone of snack culture, fitness diets, spreads, and energy bars. Praised for their protein, content, and healthy fats, peanuts evolved from sacred indigenous offerings into versatile stars of modern food culture. Chili peppers, as we know them today, vibrant, fiery, and aromatic, originate from the Americas, especially Mesoamerica and the Andean regions. For thousands of years, civilizations such as the Maya, Aztecs, and Incas cultivated a wide variety of ají peppers. These fiery fruits were essential not only in cooking, but also in medicine, food preservation, and spiritual rituals. The active compound capsaicin, which gives peppers their heat, was believed to symbolize strength and purification. When Europeans arrived in the 5th, 10th, and 16th centuries, chili peppers quickly made their way to the Old World, initiating a culinary revolution. They adapted easily to the tropical climates of Africa and Asia, and were embraced by cultures that welcomed bold, spicy flavors. Over time, Dishes from India, China, Thailand, Ethiopia, and North Africa adopted American chili varieties as if they were native. Today, chili peppers appear in everything from Indian curries to Korean kimchi, from harissa sauces to Brazilian vatapa, and from Mexican tacos to fiery hot sauces. In Brazil, chilies play a central role in dishes like moqueca, acarajé, and homemade pepper sauces. In countries like Mexico and Thailand, chilies are not just ingredients, they're national symbols. The global passion for spicy food has even created a billion-dollar hot sauce industry with fans who challenge themselves to endure the burn. From sacred rituals to spicy snacks, chilies left a blazing trail across world history. Tomatoes are native to the Andean region, particularly modern-day Peru, Bolivia, and northern Chile. However, they were domesticated and widely cultivated by Mesoamerican peoples, including the Maya and Aztecs. Known in Nahuatl as xtomatl, tomatoes were commonly used in sauces and side dishes, often mixed with chilies and corn. Despite their importance in the Americas, their bright red color and glossy skin initially alarmed Europeans. When Spanish explorers brought the tomato to Europe in the 16th century, it was viewed with suspicion due to its similarity to toxic plants in the nightshade family. For many years, tomatoes were grown only as ornamental plants. Eventually, in Mediterranean regions, especially Italy, they began to find culinary acceptance. This change sparked a global rise. Tomatoes became essential in sauces, soups, pizzas, pastas, and salads. Today, they are among the most widely grown and consumed vegetables, technically fruits, in the world. Whether it's Italian marinara, American ketchup, Brazilian moqueca, Indian curry, or Middle Eastern shakshuka, tomatoes have taken root in nearly every cuisine. Rich in lycopene, folate, and vitamin C, the tomato's journey from misunderstood fruit to global culinary king is a reflection of how cultural exchange reshapes our plates. Cacao originated in the tropical forests of Central and South America, where it was revered by ancient cultures like the Maya and Aztecs. Cacao beans were so valuable that they were used as currency and offerings to deities. These civilizations prepared cacao as a thick, bitter beverage flavored with chili, vanilla, and other local spices. Known as zocolatl, it was consumed primarily by nobility and warriors for its energizing properties. When the Spanish introduced cacao to Europe, it underwent a transformation. Sugar, milk, and cinnamon were added to make the flavor more palatable to European tastes. This innovation gave birth to what we now know as hot chocolate. Initially a luxury for the elite, cacao gained popularity as industrial techniques allowed it to be shaped into solid bars by the 19th century. Today, cacao is the foundation of the massive chocolate industry. It is used in desserts, drinks, cosmetics, and even savory gourmet dishes. In Brazil, especially in Bahia, cacao became economically vital. A growing movement now supports artisanal, sustainable chocolate that honors its indigenous roots and small producers. From ancient temples to modern Easter celebrations, cacao's journey is a tale of sacred tradition turned universal indulgence. Vanilla comes from the tropical forests of Mexico and Central America and was cherished by Mesoamerican civilizations, particularly the Totonac people, who considered it a divine gift. The Aztecs later adopted it to flavor their sacred cacao drink, combining it with chocolate and spices in a revered blend consumed by the elite. Spanish conquerors brought vanilla to Europe, where it remained rare and prized for centuries. For a long time, Mexico held a monopoly on its production because vanilla orchids could only be pollinated by a native bee, the melipona. In the 19th century, French botanists discovered how to hand-pollinate vanilla, enabling cultivation in colonies like Madagascar, which is now the world's leading producer. Today, vanilla is a staple in countless foods, from ice cream and cakes to creams and liqueurs. Its sweet, subtle aroma also makes it a favorite in perfumery. Although synthetic versions exist, natural vanilla remains highly sought after. In Brazil, it is often used in homemade desserts, symbolizing comfort and tradition. From sacred Aztec brews to global flavor sensation, vanilla continues to enchant with its delicate essence. Bonus: tobacco may not be a food, but its cultural and economic impact is immense. Indigenous peoples from the Amazon to North America, including the Tupi, Maya, and Navajo, used tobacco for millennia in spiritual, medicinal, and social contexts. It was smoked in rituals, chewed in ceremonies, or burned as sacred incense. When Europeans discovered tobacco's psychoactive effects, it quickly became a global commodity. By the 16th century, it had spread across Europe, promoted for its supposed healing properties. Its popularity exploded with the invention of cigarettes, cigars, and pipes, fueling colonial plantations and entire economies. Despite health warnings, tobacco remains one of the most consumed products globally. Its story from sacred ritual plant to global economic powerhouse serves as a powerful example of how cultural exchange shaped not just diets, but economies and social habits as well. Asterisk: if you enjoyed this journey through the hidden origins of our favorite foods, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. What ingredient surprised you the most? Tell us in the comments. Your story might inspire our next episode.